Welcome to our webinar on HPE GreenLake Backup and Recovery. I'm Tim Bittmender. I am a Senior Field Solutions Architect with Connection, and I address a lot of backup recovery solutions with customers. We're going to talk today about really what is HPE GreenLake Backup and Recovery.
My name is Chris Matthews. I'm the HPE GreenLake Solutions Specialist here at Connection. I work alongside Tim on a lot of GreenLake projects, some with backup and recovery, some in the myriad of other solutions that we can provide through GreenLake. So happy to have this webinar today.
So we're going to look at how do we address some of the data protection challenges, how we can use something like an integrated service, software as a service solution, as well as looking at a data protection solution that is designed for a hybrid cloud. We'll get into new features and functionality, architecture overview, how is this different than some of our competitors? What is new within HPE GreenLake Backup and Recovery? We'll go through a technical overview, look at some of the strengths, some of the reasons why you'd want to look at HPE GreenLake Backup Recovery. And we'll actually go through a demo and we'll provide some resources for you so that you can actually have some hands-on experience with HPE GreenLake Backup and Recovery tools. So with that, we're really wanting to show here with HPE GreenLake Backup Recovery, how do we address some of these challenges, right? If you're looking at protecting against things like cyber attacks, ransomware, if you have RTOs, RPOs, which are actually shrinking, or maybe you have issues within your current infrastructure where it's fragmented, right? Maybe you're spending too much time trying to manage the solution. This is what we're looking at doing with HPE GreenLake is addressing those challenges, right? How do we deliver an integrated, modern, and data protection from edge to cloud? So if you'll see here, and also within the demo, it's very easy to use. We're using some policy-based protections so we can create those policies and we can configure those across different services. You'll also see that we can do end-to-end data protection as a service, right? Whether it's on premises or if it's in the cloud, we can actually protect those workloads. We also can do auto updates and also streamline the backup infrastructure. We also have a feature-rich set of tools that also expand more from VMware infrastructure that we'll talk about today, as well as Microsoft SQL databases, HPE block storage, and AWS and Azure types of services. And you will see that coming up here. So within the new features and functionality, this is really an architecture overview. So this is kind of conceptual, what is available for services and components. And in this example, you will see where we have a few of these components available. A protection store gateway. This is actually both a store for protecting local on-prem data as well as a gateway to the cloud. And we can also use other hardware appliances such as HPE Store Once. We also have a data orchestrator. That orchestrator is going to help manage that workload as well as schedule the particular backups that are actually going on-prem, okay, back to HPE GreenLake for backup recovery. All of this is secure. You will see that in the demo, we're going to have access to what we call a data services cloud console. That is through a TLS tunnel that goes back into the cloud for your management. We can also add or have external cloud environments that we can also use and back up. And we can do this through one single pane, right? No additional panes of management that are needed. Everything can be done from this central console. We talked a little bit about how deploying the service requires just a few steps, just minutes, that you can provide protection for your VMware VMs, Amazon resources. This is all done through that policy-based orchestration and automation. So again, single management creates a consistent cloud experience. We can monitor and manage hybrid backup recovery operations from any location and from any device. There are some differences between this product and competitors. If you look at a GreenLake platform specifically, it eliminates infrastructure and operational silos. Everything is really seamless. Integrated protection delivered as a service. We can expand into infrastructure as a service or platform as a service as well. 8 times data reduction and compression of your data. So we can have faster backups, quicker recovery, and less storage needed. So cost savings. And also global policy driven protection, automatic protection, edge to cloud integration that tie into your infrastructure. This also eliminates errors and risk that you actually would have to probably go through with another, let's say, competitor product. What's new within HPE GreenLake for backup recovery? You'll see that we have email notifications, so you'll get daily status messages, as well as within protection groups that we'll cover in the demo. We'll look at recovery of multiple VMware resources, assets in a single operation. We can also protect Microsoft SQL database workloads, volume protection enhancements using block storage, such as Electra Storage MP, and as well as recovery of VMs without internet. So on-prem recovery of VMs, you don't have to have internet connection back to the data services cloud console. From a technical overview, you will see here that we're going to be connecting through the GreenLake portal. Okay, this is this on-prem environment that shows an example of a vSphere cluster. We connect through the Data Services Cloud console. After we go into that, you will see that we'll connect to what we call a data storage gateway, right? So from that data storage gateway, we're able to then access vCenter, your E6i host workloads, and also the protection store gateway, which will actually act as a local repository for these backups, right? So with that, we can also have third-party storage, such as if you have on-prem HPE storage, we could do that. You could also have access to cloud protection stores, which would be cloud-based like AWS. As the graphic shows, we can actually have these all connected together, managed through one single pane, right? So no additional software licensing or other, let's say, management tools are needed to protect the environment. Example that they're showing here is with a backup that we're using with change block tracking with VMware. So we can actually use change block tracking backup as well within the environment. So from a VMware perspective, we can actually have those VMs actually go off-site. This actually allows you to have both on-prem and off-premises backups. So having different media, different retentions are also supported. We will actually go through some of these technical overviews in some of the demo, but example I will give you is one with Microsoft SQL Server. We can protect SQL Server running on physical host, enhancements to that SQL Server including single policies, right? So cloud native. We can create these protection policies to include SQL Server databases on a physical host. And this will work just as exactly the same as with a virtual SQL server, right? We can recover the physical databases to a VM or vice versa. So this will allow you to have either virtual or physical host. You can have auto chaining of the log backups and requires no agents, agentless, right? We can also register these application hosts. We can actually start those backups very seamlessly, easy within HPE GreenLake for backup recovery. We can also do recovery of VMware's groups. So we can actually do bulk recovery. This is an additional feature. So we can override or create a new VM. We can actually do this based on a point in time recovery. And also we can select the location, whether it's a snapshot, a protection storage group, as an example. So this gives you the ability to do a fast and efficient recovery of multiple VMs, ability to recover different VMs to different point in time, right? And this gives you an enhancement, right, by using what they call these protection groups. So we can group these particular VMs together and make it a much easier recovery process. I'm going to let Chris speak kind of what is around the Data Services Cloud Console. Chris?
So, as I said in the beginning, HPE GreenLake for backup and recovery is just a small part of the overall number one data services cloud console that you get with things like HPE Alletra, HPE Primera. And it's also a part of some of the software as a service solutions that GreenLake can provide through a subscription model. Things like block storage, things like HPE GreenLake for disaster recovery. This is part of the Data Services Cloud Console, and the Data Services Cloud Console is actually a part of GreenLake Central. GreenLake Central is the overarching services portal for anything subscription or consumption. So, as Tim mentioned, some of the on-premise solutions that we have for backup and recovery can sit on HPE hardware like modular storage array or MSA, Store Once, or HPE Alletra. All of those are also available infrastructure as a service through HPE GreenLake. If you're already using things like HPE Compute Ops Manager or Aruba Central, you're already using the GreenLake Central portal, and this is just another solution that you can have within that portal. And before we get into some of the demo stuff and the rest of what Tim has to talk about, there is obviously a financial model to this. The great part is it's supremely flexible. On the screen right now, you see just an example of how pricing works. There is a subscription and consumption component to this. You can go month to month should you choose to do so. We also have yearly agreements from 1 year to 2, 3, 4, and 5-year agreements. With the idea of the more that you commit to per month, the better your rates will be. There's going to be overages rates as well, as you kind of see on the screen. Not a big penalty to do that. But what this allows you to do is it allows you to consume the service at a fixed monthly cost. And if for some reason there is growth to your backup environment, you're not you're not in the woods, I guess you could say. There's always going to be, as long as you have capacity on disk on premise, and there's always capacity that's going to be available for you on the cloud storage piece. You know exactly what you're spending per month, and it's all managed. It's a fully white glove solution, so something that you can be confident in deploying, and for however long that you want to deploy it.
Okay, great, Chris. Thanks.
Sure.
So there are some things that we need to look at when you're doing a deployment of HPE GreenLake for backup and recovery. So we kind of look at some of these. One of those is that having the latest recovery point selected for the restore by default in order to do your snapshots or local backup or cloud backup. We'll kind of cover some of that in the demo. You will probably want to add VMs and protection groups. Typically, they say, at least five VMs. You could probably do more. But this will actually help speed up recovery of those particular VMs that are selected within a protection group. Restore jobs are executed sequentially when you're having these groups of VMs belonging in the same data store, as an example. So I may have each VMs that are restored using maybe different array optimized recovery points. Example may be with an Alletra MP, and I can restore the VMs also with RDMs. Okay, so that is also supported. We can also have VMs within a data store belonging to a particular group So recovery of a group from array optimized recovery points will initiate the restoration of the entire data store instead of individual VMs. Now, if this is something that you do not want to do, right, you need to make sure you don't restore based on a group. You want to look at each individual VM then if you do not want that entire data store recovered, all right? And then lastly, we can do restore functionality of storage replication groups. Microsoft SQL protection groups currently is not supported, all right? And then just looking at an overview of really what is happening currently and what we're going to be doing next within HPE GreenLake for backup recovery. This is a roadmap, as you'll see over on the far left side. These are things that we have added within HPE GreenLake backup and recovery, right? On-prem recovery without Cloud Console, file and forward recovery, Microsoft Azure integration, so we can actually use Azure Blob. We are looking at enhanced application integrated protection. So example, Azure VMs and disk, Microsoft 365 support, enhanced granular recovery and bulk recovery, right? So we can look at a recovery of a single file folder or disk across multiple recovery points. We can also do protection group recovery. So if you've lost your protection group, we can recover from that. We can also have within HPE GreenLake, within the AWS marketplace, and integration with other storage data services. Example would be GreenLake for block storage, and also Azure management as well. Future is going to be some time out, okay, so usually greater than 6 months, but integration with storage data services such as SimpliVity and HPE GreenLake for file, as well as application protection, SAP HANA, Oracle, maybe cross-region backup for AWS RDS as an example. So stay tuned. We'll be glad to give you some updates on when those future integrations are actually added within the product. These are, before we jump into demo, these are some additional resources. There is a 90-day free trial. We hope that you will take a look at that free trial, be able to get access to it. There is no commitment. It is a free evaluation that allow you to go in and use HPE GreenLake for backup recovery. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my monitor and I'm going to switch over to the demo.
And while Tim does that, the last slide highlights two things. Number one, the overall integration within the HPE GreenLake platform. This is a very great standalone product, but when you combine it with something like Private Cloud Business Edition, or HPE GreenLake for block storage, or in the future, this is a perfect integration with HPE SimpliVity. It gives the ability to enhance the backup solution that's built in there. It's just going to get better over time. With that 90-day free trial, as Tim said, you can try it before you buy it with commitment free, cost free, so that you can see how good of a solution it is. Head to connection.com, look for the HPE sub page there, and there'll be a link to sign up right from the Connection website.
So within the HPE GreenLake environment, we're actually starting from, let's say, the platform. So within the platform, you're going to have these different services. So I'm going to actually go into the data services and launch. Within this, the storage, and this is the data services cloud console. This is a single pane of management that you would have access to. You'll notice that I may have separate services that are actually based upon the data services cloud console and features that you have license for. I'm actually going to go into backup and recovery. And you'll see within the backup and recovery a dashboard. This dashboard is going to give you an overview of everything that you have within your environment. So within the far left, you'll see the hamburger menu that's going to provide you information about what you have as far as protection policies, protection stores, what you may have on-prem for management, such as an on-prem array, could be a protection group, could be a Microsoft SQL Server resource, databases, instances, and VMware resources, such as data storage, virtual machines. I can also have information around cloud repositories. If I have AWS resources there, EC2 environment or EC2 resources. I can also look into analytics, right? Activities, reports around what's happening within my backup, as well as setup of, let's say, the data orchestrators or protection storage gateways, or maybe even on-premises store once. So with that, within the dashboard, I can actually go into and look at particular information within that environment. So example, I have here non-vCenter servers. I have about 688 virtual machines, 577 data stores, right? I have protection groups already set up, currently 7 that I have. And then if I look down at my protection jobs, I have about 230 jobs that have been successful. Okay, but I may have some that are what? Maybe not configured or have failed that I probably want to look at, right? I want to be able to validate what's happening with those 172. Gives me a example of the amount of storage that I have and my space savings that I'm using currently within this environment. I have an AWS East, right, that I'm using about, savings from a dedupe perspective, pretty high, about 93, 94%. So it's showing you how much deduplication that I'm actually getting out of that HPE Cloud Protection store, as well as my on-premises store, okay? So as an example, if I say, hey, I want to go in and I want to look at particular, maybe my VMware virtual machines and look at, let's say, maybe protection groups, right? So in this example, I have a protection group set up. And within that protection group, I can actually then assign, let's say, schedules, right? I can create a schedule for a particular protection group, or add a particular, let's say, virtual machine. In this example, I have one virtual machine, but currently, right now, it has a store once connected to it, right, for backup. So I can actually go in and look at these particular recovery points. How number of recovery points I have, as well as how many hours ago that I had a particular backup done. I can also look at on-prem, right? So I can look at a group, and this is giving me that I had a 7-hour backup here, and then to recover that, I would just go in and do a recovery, right? I could actually verify that backup just to make sure that it's actually still active, working. I can also do show details, so it's going to give me for more information about that specific recovery point. All right. Uh, in this example that I'm giving you, again, within the environment, I can actually go back in and set up, let's say, a particular, let's say, uh, protection store gateway if needed, right? So I can actually go in protection. I can look at particular stores, right? If I had to or need to, I could add a particular store. There are no protection policies set up in this example, but I can actually go in and create particular, let's say, uh, uh, protection stores or policies around that store. All right. We get to the VMware environment. And as an example, let's say that I want to add a particular vCenter, right? So I could actually go in and look at a particular vCenter server. So I could add a particular, let's say, vCenter information if I need to do that. Okay. Microsoft SQL Server, I can actually go in and define protection groups around Microsoft SQL, right? So I can actually go in and add a protection group, whether it would be automatic. So this would actually have a group that would look at all new databases that get added after I've created this group, right? So I can do that. Or I can do a custom protection group. So I can actually choose databases that I need, as an example. So I can actually select specific options here, depending upon what hosts were available, and then add those resources as needed. HPE array. So if I have a particular HPE type of array, I could do the same thing. I could create a custom protection group, and I could actually add a specific storage system, to that. So if it was a particular, let's say, group that I'm looking at for block. So in this example, we're going to create a protection group for an on-prem store. So this would be a new protection group 5 as an example. And then I can actually add specific volumes, right, to that protection group. So whatever I add as a volume here, all right, I can then select that and then create a new protection group for those particular volumes, right, for that, let's say, that storage array. And then within that protection group of a schedule, I can create a schedule, and from that schedule, I can then back up on anything that's on within that protection group within those volumes, whether that's a SQL Server backup or if it's additional VMs, I could do that as well. Okay. So we showed you how to create a protection group within HPE GreenLake for backup recovery. Again, I would just advise, please reach out to one of us if you have some additional questions upon how to get to the trial version. There are also some additional resources, again, that we'll provide you, and I'll share this as well for additional content and access from the demo. We do have questions that, based on our last LinkedIn Live presentation, that Chris is going to kind of go through and answer. So from that, Chris, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Yeah, a couple of questions that we got. First question was because we store some of this in Amazon Web Services, are there any egress charges in pulling some of the data back on site when we do go to recover? And the answer to that question is no. All the costs that you see and that you saw in that sample financial slide, those are all inclusive, so you can recover as much as you want. Not that we like to do a lot of recovery, because that means we have to, but if in fact that you do need to recover data from that cloud protection store, there are no additional egress charges to do that, so you can feel safe in that. Another question that we get is, again, around the financial piece. Is this a monthly cost or is this an upfront cost? The answer to that question is whatever you want it to be. You can pay monthly for this service, and Connection can bill you monthly, whether it's just the committed space that you've used, or if you've gone into that overage scenario, we can bill you monthly. Or if you have a fixed agreement, like a 1-year agreement or a 3-year agreement, you can pay all those charges up front. And then if there is any overage, we can just bill you any overages if and when they happen per month. So there is flexibility in the solution from a technology standpoint and certainly in the financial standpoint as well.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. So within the demo and resources, you'll see a number of these links. The evaluation link is at the top of the page. This will give you access, 90-day evaluation, for you to try. There is also, which very similar to what I have done, backup recovery services demo on YouTube. There are some additional resources to help you, at least from understanding or even deploying HPE GreenLake for backup recovery. Thank you for joining the webinar today. We do appreciate your time. Thanks.